My name is Angela Sutton, I'm 28, and I'll never forget the day my family tried to take everything from me, not knowing that I had already secured my future. I was always the responsible daughter, the one who worked hard, while my younger sister Isa, 25, lived like an Instagram star. While she showed off expensive bags and trips to Europe, I spent long hours working to help manage our family's business. Our dad, Robert Sutton, built a hotel business from scratch, and I had been learning about it since I was 16. Angela, you need to understand, this business takes sacrifices, my dad would say whenever I missed plans with friends to work late. Meanwhile, Isa spent money carelessly. Your sister is young, let her enjoy herself, she'll grow up soon, my mom, Margaret, would say, always defending Isa, but Isa didn't change. At 25, she still lived with our parents and didn't have a real job, other than posting on social media, while I ran 3 of our hotels, working 12-hour days. Then, 6 months ago, I met Jonathan, our new financial advisor. He was sharp and honest, and he quickly found something wrong in our company's financial records. One day, he came to my office, closed the door, and said, Angela, I've looked through the last 5 years of accounts. Did you know your sister spent over $2 million of company money? I was shocked. He showed me papers with expenses for travel, clothes, and parties, all marked as business costs for marketing. She says she's the brand's image on social media, Jonathan explained. That night, I confronted my dad. His response was cold. I know, Angela, I approved those expenses. $2 million for personal stuff? I asked. Dad sighed. You help the company in one way, and she helps in another. That conversation made me realize I had been working hard for my dad's approval, but I would never get it. Jonathan became someone I trusted. Over the next few months, we quietly looked into every bad decision and wasteful spending. He also helped me realize something I didn't know. I actually owned most of the company. My dad had made me the majority shareholder years ago, mainly for tax reasons, never thinking I'd know how to use it. You need to protect yourself, Jonathan told me. Your family is using the company like their personal bank. It got worse. Jonathan told me that my dad was planning to transfer some of my assets, including my house, to Isa. They're drafting documents to give Isa your house, Jonathan said. I couldn't believe it. My house, which I bought with my own money. Well, technically, you bought it with your company salary, Jonathan reminded me. It can be transferred. I couldn't sleep that night, thinking about losing the house I worked so hard for, but Jonathan and I made a plan. The big moment came on my 28th birthday. My family threw a big party at our parents' house, with everyone there, relatives, business partners, even Isa. During the toast, Isa stood up with a glass of champagne and said, I have a special announcement. My dad gave me Angela's house. Everyone clapped, and my mom smiled proudly, while my dad avoided looking at me. Isa continued, Angela is always working, so she doesn't need such a big house. I'll use it better. I stood up slowly, my heart racing but my mind clear. You're right, Isa, I said, pulling out a folder from my bag. I'm too busy at the office. I opened the folder, and since we're making announcements, I have one too. The room went quiet as I began. As CEO and majority shareholder, I'm making some important updates. My voice was firm. First, from now on, all personal expenses need board approval. Isa's smile faded. My dad sat up straighter. Second, I've started an audit of the company's financial records from the last 5 years, I said, looking at Isa. That includes the marketing expenses for social media. Angela, my dad interrupted, looking tense. Isn't it the right time? I shot back. You just announced that you were giving my house to Isa. I turned to the crowd. A house I bought with my own salary after working hard for years. Jonathan stood up and handed out folders to the board members. These folders show proof of over $2 million in misused company funds, he said. The room buzzed with whispers as I continued. There were personal expenses disguised as business costs, luxury trips, shopping sprees, and parties. Isa turned pale. This is crazy, she yelled. Dad approved all of it. Is this the brand's image? I said, clicking a button on the projector. A slideshow of Isa's Instagram posts appeared. Parties for family-friendly hotels, designer bags for marketing? My mom stood up, furious. Angela, how dare you embarrass your sister like this? My mom shouted. I stared at her, not backing down. Embarrass her? Like how you tried to take my house on my birthday. My dad tried to step in, trying to take control. This is a family issue, he said, his voice firm. I ask all non-family members to leave. That's not possible, Jonathan said, stepping up as our financial advisor. This involves possible corporate fraud, so the board members need to stay. The next few minutes were chaos. Isa was crying. saying it was all a mistake. My mom was yelling about loyalty. My dad was trying to calm the board members, who were flipping through the papers with growing concern. When things finally quieted down, I spoke up. There's more. I pulled out more documents from my folder. As CEO and majority shareholder, I've made some decisions. First, I've blocked the transfer of my house to ISA. I've also filed a legal order stopping any company property from being transferred without full board approval. My dad's face darkened. You can't do this, he shouted. Actually, I can, I replied calmly. I'm the majority shareholder, remember? You set it up that way for tax reasons. He clenched his jaw. That was just a technicality, he muttered. I was supposed to have real control. The room went silent. Some board members shook their heads, writing notes. Thanks for clearing that up, Dad, I said smoothly. Anyone else want to admit to messing with the company? ISA rushed at me, furious. Jonathan stepped between us. Careful, he warned. Attacking a corporate executive during an official meeting can have serious legal consequences. ISA stopped, her fists clenched. You're just jealous, she spat. You've always been jealous of me. I laughed bitterly. Jealous? Of what? That you've never worked a day in your life? That you've wasted millions on parties while I built this company? Enough. My dad slammed his hand on the table. Angela, if you keep going down this road, you'll destroy this family. I stared at my dad, not backing down. No, Dad, you destroyed this family when you decided that hard work didn't matter, that responsibility was a joke, and that my dedication was worth less than ISA's selfies. My dad stepped closer, lowering his voice. We can fix this privately, there's no need for the board to. I raised my voice on purpose. Oh, now you want privacy after humiliating me in front of everyone? No, Dad, this gets settled right here, right now. I stood straight in front of the board, my expression firm. The years of hard work, sacrifice, and betrayal weighed on me, but I didn't let it show. This was my moment to take back control, to set things right. I took a deep breath and spoke with the authority I had earned as CEO. I'm making the following changes. First, all personal expenses will be frozen until further notice. Second, we're bringing in an outside auditor to check all company finances for full transparency. And third, we'll be restructuring the leadership team to make sure it serves the company's best interests. The room was silent, and you could feel the tension. My mom jumped up, her face red with anger. You can't do this. You can't just push us out like this, she yelled, panic in her voice. I met her glare with calm. I'm not pushing anyone out, I said steadily. I'm professionalizing the company I helped build, the company I sacrificed for, while you treated it like a personal bank. I turned to the board, who were all watching closely, some nodding. Who seconds the motion? I asked. There was a moment of hesitation, then hands started to raise one by one, and it was clear the decision was made. Across from me, my dad slumped in his chair, his once strong presence now diminished. He looked tired, as if the weight of his choices had caught up with him. ISA, who had been quiet until now, suddenly tried a different approach. She leaned forward, her face softening, and her voice became pleading. Angela, please, she said, her eyes full of unshed tears. We're sisters, we're family, how can you do this to us? For the first time that night, my voice wavered. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my composure, but her words hit deep. Family, I repeated, almost in disbelief, my hands balled into fists. Where was family when I was working weekends while you were out partying? Where was family when I skipped vacations 3 years in a row to save the Barcelona hotel? Where was family when you all decided my house, my home, paid for with my own money, was just another thing to give away? The room was dead silent. Then Jonathan stepped forward and placed another stack of papers on the table. He looked calm, but his presence was powerful. There's one more thing we need to discuss, he said, the personal accounts. At those words, my dad turned pale. He grabbed the table like he needed it to hold himself up. In a whisper, he muttered, please stop. But I wasn't stopping, not now, not after everything. I squared my shoulders. Why? Because now the truth is out? Because the board can see what's really been happening behind closed doors? Because your plan to use the company as your own piggy bank is over? My mom's face was covered in tears. She shook her head, her voice trembling. Everything we did for the good of the family. I laughed quietly, but it wasn't a happy laugh. No, I said, shaking my head. You did it for yourselves. You gave ISA whatever she wanted instead of teaching her to stand on her own. You misused company money because it was easier than doing things the right way. You ignored the problem instead of fixing it. The next few days were tough. The audit found even more financial mismanagement than we thought. ISA didn't just spend $2 million. She spent almost $3 million. Luxury vacations passed off as business trips, designer shopping as market research, parties labeled as brand engagement, and my parents? They'd hidden personal accounts funded by the company for years, taking money while I worked hard to grow the business. The board wasted no time taking action. They voted unanimously in favor of my changes. Strict financial rules were put in place to stop anyone, family included, from abusing company funds again. A new, professional leadership team took over operations, and ISA? She lost her role as the face of the brand. A few days later, ISA barged into my office, furious, her hands clenched in fists. "What am I supposed to do now?" she yelled. "You ruined my life." I didn't flinch. "There's an entry-level job in marketing," I said calmly. "Starting salary, just like everyone else. You can learn the business from the ground up, like I did." Her face twisted with anger. "You're awful. I hate you." I looked her in the eyes without flinching. "No, ISA," I said quietly. "I'm the only one who actually cares about your future." My parents eventually accepted the new reality, though it took time. My dad, after resisting for months, finally admitted something I never expected to hear. "I built this company from nothing," he told me one night, "but you turned it into something better, something that will last." My mom took longer to accept it, but when she saw ISA finally working hard, for the first time in her life, something changed. To everyone's surprise, ISA took the entry-level job. At first, she was bitter and resentful, but slowly, she started putting in the effort, and to her surprise, she realized she was good at marketing when she actually tried. One night, my mom sighed as she watched ISA work late at her desk. Maybe we were too easy on her," she said quietly. Now, 2 years later, Sutton Hotels is doing better than ever. ISA has finally found purpose beyond just looking good for social media. My parents have learned to keep business and family separate. And me? I still live in the house I worked hard for and fought to keep. It's more than just a home. It's a symbol of my independence and all the sacrifices I made. But the biggest change is how I run the company now. It's all professional, no more blurred lines between family and business. I lead with the same dedication and focus I always had, even when no one noticed. Loving your family doesn't always mean giving in or letting them take advantage. Sometimes, it means setting boundaries and making tough choices for your own growth. I had to stand up and make decisions that were hard, even if they upset people I cared about. It wasn't easy, but it was the right thing to do. Jonathan, now my husband, has been by my side through it all. He wasn't just my financial advisor, he became someone I could always count on. From the moment we started working together, he understood the situation better than anyone. The trust and respect we've built made all the difference. One piece of advice Jonathan gave me stuck with me through everything. Sometimes, you have to shake the family tree so the rotten apples fall, and the strong ones have room to grow. At first, I didn't fully get it, but now, seeing how things turned out, I understand. Letting go of the things that weren't helping me, whether it was toxic family dynamics or unhealthy behaviors, allowed for something better to come. The business is in a great place, and so am I. I don't regret any of it. What matters now is that I'm in control, and I've built something I'm proud of. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, like the video and subscribe to our channel. This is Karma's Revenge, where justice always finds its way. See you next time.